So welcome. Thank you for joining me. The last of 7 conversations to celebrate the 7th anniversary of Freedom, my branding and marketing consultancy. So today, as kind of the conclusion to the entire series, I just wanted to offer my time and my brain for people just to come in and ask me any questions. And so this is meant to be super casual. You can have your video on or off, but it's really just a platform for you to get questions answered and to have a discussion. So super casual. If you want to turn on your microphone and ask me, that's fine. Or you can also put it in the chat, is also fine.
Sounds good. Am I the only one here?
Yep, so far.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what to expect. I just found you on LinkedIn today through another connection that had liked something you had posted.
Oh, okay.
And so I had just seen this event and I had no idea what it entailed. I didn't know it was like one of a series or, any of that. So I had just anticipating listening in and seeing if I could pick up any cool brand snippets or information or strategy or anything like that. So I can just give you a little rundown of my background.
And if there's any topics you want me to just kind of talk about, I'm happy to do that too.
Yeah, I would just love to know about your consultancy. So what I'm doing now is I've been in brand marketing within the CPG space for the last 9 years, but working on the brand side for brands directly. And now I'm looking to do consultant work. And so that would be super helpful just to have an understanding of your business and kind of how you run it. And if you take project-based work, how you structure it, your business model would be really awesome if you don't mind sharing any of that.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So my background's slightly different. I came from agency.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. But I think I think either way, I've seen people go at this one of two ways. So one way is to subcontract to agencies who are working with brands, or to work directly with brands so that the brands hire you, they are your client, versus an agency hiring you and kind of white labeling you. I work directly with clients. So it is extremely rare for me to work with agencies, partially because one of the main impetuses for starting my own business was that I felt that the agency model was broken. And I wanted to offer a more kind of consultative, flexible experience to clients on the brand side who I know are in meetings all day long. They don't have the time to think strategically. My goal was just to kind of give them some space to be able to do that strategic thinking and have a partner they could rely on to help them with that and guide them through that. So I've leveraged my own network and client relationships from when I was at agencies for clients now. So word of mouth is a big business driver for me. I also speak at conferences, and that has also driven in some clients that I've ended up working with. So it's kind of it's basically a combination of kind of word of mouth and then just kind of getting my ideas out there and letting them act as a kind of beacon for people for whom those things resonate. So I use LinkedIn a lot, as I try to post on there every day as just kind of a way to do several things. One is it helps me just develop my thinking. So I take an hour in the morning because that's kind of when my brain is freshest. And the goal is that I have to have something that's in shape to be posted by the end of the hour. So it's like no judgment, just get something write about a topic that maybe has been in the news, or a brand that's been in the news, or an idea that I'm exploring, and I just put it out there. And so it's a win if I just even post it. And then on top of that, if I get feedback and comments, and I can get a sense of you know, how much is this resonating, then that has influenced talks I've developed and all those sorts of things. So it's a kind of way to keep my name in people's minds, especially during the pandemic when we were all stuck at home. And I couldn't, you know, do as much face-to-face networking and things like that.
Yeah.
So beyond business development, I focus solely on strategy, research and strategy. So any audience research, brand strategy, brand positioning, messaging, voice, brand architecture, naming, and then marketing strategy. So
Right.
I don't do any sort of tactical execution at all. So I've often partnered with design agencies to do that, or I can make recommendations to clients. But that's not, I'm more interested, like my strength and my passion is really around the strategy.
Yeah.
And then how I price is I don't bill by the hour at all.
Okay.
It's just, I mean, obviously in agencies, that's kind of the way it is. And it's such a waste of time. It doesn't make the work any better. It doesn't make me you know. So what I found is when I abandoned kind of tracking my hours, all of this time opened up for me that I could actually use to do more work. So I do kind of, not in a very scientific way, but I try to do value-based pricing. So I price per engagement, and several factors kind of feed into how I price. So one is whether it's a large or a small company, because that tells me how many layers of review it will have, how much bureaucracy, which all adds to the time something takes. And often the larger organizations, it can be more difficult to work with because there may be dysfunction that's kind of in place, that's hardened, and they have a more difficult time moving quickly. So I kind of take that all into account. And then I've kind of used initially I was just using my experience at agencies because I had worked in kind of mid-size local agencies. I'm based in DC and I've worked at Ogilvy. So I had a sense of like how much people were charging for the work I was doing. And I basically charged the same thing. And then I've just been increasing, since I started.
Right. Yep. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so you just say it's like a project based on whatever the project is. Right. You would just say it's this amount. And do you also still give some sort of time deliverable of, this will be done in under a month. These are the other time deliverables and when you would get it all completed. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a cost and there's kind of a scope that includes what the time frame is.
Yeah.
Now, that said, I have never worked on a project that I can think of. I mean, unless it's a small project that has stayed totally on track.
Okay.
Because, the longer projects, what happens is if it's a 1 or 2 month engagement, that's easy to stay focused and on track.
Yes.
If it's a larger project with many more people involved, that lasts longer, situations change, new things come up. And this is the way the world is. This is what happens. And so at agencies, there was no flexibility, right? Anything new that came up, there was a change order that would annoy clients. They felt like they nickel and dime. So what I try to do is be really flexible and accommodate change so that if there's a change that's happening but doesn't really impact my level of effort, then the cost stays the same. If something completely out of left field comes up that we all agree is a completely different project, then I raise my hands and say this needs to be scoped separately. And what I've found is that clients are very respectful of that, and they're the ones that say, Leigh, this is a new project. Can you scope this? But if there's, slight changes in the existing work, I'm happy to accommodate it. So I kind of also build pricing to take that into account. And it just makes I find that clients really love that because they know there's not going to be some change order in the middle. We can kind of get all the money locked down at the beginning and not really have to talk about it ever again. And that means that we can then focus on building the relationship. So I felt that that's worked really well.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, go ahead.
That makes a lot of sense.
The other thing I do that I found to be really helpful, that I never did at an agency, but I kind of came across another consultant that did this and have tried it out, is that depending on the project, when I present them a proposal or a scope, I will offer them multiple options. Because oftentimes, like, a client doesn't really know what they need, right? They think they know what they need, but they're not really good at diagnosing their own challenges in terms of what the solution should be, because that's really why they're bringing us on. So I'll have like a basic option, which is exactly what they asked for. And then I'll have two more options that add more stuff that I think would be really helpful to them. So for example, if they say, we just want a brand narrative, and I can scope that out. But then I might say, you might also want to consider some brand guidelines for that narrative and for that voice and tone, so that it's kind of documented and it's easy to share. You might also think about brand training for leadership, so kind of a train the trainer, so they can train other people. You might also want to think of something else. So it's kind of getting them to understand that while you can do exactly what they asked for, you're seeing the bigger picture and you're helping them think through what else they might need as part of this initiative.
Right.
And like almost 100% people have bought the most expensive package.
Yep.
So that's been delightful.
Yeah, of course.
To discover.
And it makes sense, right? Because they're coming to you because you have the experience and the knowledge, but they also are going to need, I see that time and again, like even just being on the brand side, you'll work with a creative director or somebody out of house and you create all this stuff. And then it's like, okay, now how does it get dispersed amongst the team? And how does the rest of the executives understand, like, what is our brand direction? And what are we executing on? So yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense to just come in more strategic and give them an understanding of what else they might need, so then they can be like, how do I utilize these assets once we have them?
Right. And I think, unlike trying to upsell them or something like that, it doesn't come across as salesy. It comes across as thoughtful. And it gives them, it empowers them to make a choice.
Right.
Based on their budget and needs and lots of other factors.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Do you have, when you first started out, do you just run your business by yourself, or do you ever have people like work with you depending upon the scope?
Yep. So, I mean, for administrative things, there's certain things I outsource.
Okay.
Like I use an accountant.
Yep.
I keep my own books though, because they're pretty simple. It's not like I'm selling widgets and there's lots of transactions to keep track of. So I feel like my books are pretty easy. But I use an accountant, and then I have, for my own kind of purposes for talks and my own brand, I have worked with designers. And then on project work, I have also worked with outside agencies to collaborate with them. I have never brought on another strategist to help with anything, which isn't to say that I wouldn't or I couldn't. It just hasn't made sense.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I feel like there's others that I've worked with and I can't think of who they are. Like I've also worked with a videographer to videotape, create like mini movies of talks. So it's been more, so I've done some for my own business, but then I've also done some for clients as well.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And do you white label it like the agencies would if they had you under?
Yeah, so it depends really
Okay.
on the client. So sometimes I have a legacy client that I've been working with for like 5 years, and I've been working with them along with a design agency the whole time. And we were very
Oh,
transparent that like I'm the strategy person, they're the design team, and to, like just to make it easy for the client so they don't have to get 2 invoices a month. I kind of manage it all. It comes through me, and then
yep.
I pay the agency.
Okay.
Um, there's others where an agency has brought me on, and this was the only case that I worked with. I subcontracted to an agency, and it was because um, the like the people were great to work with. It wasn't like a typical agency experience where the deadlines are ridiculous and you're not given
Mhm.
any information and you're expected to, be working at all hours or be available at all hours. They were super, it was a true like partnership. They were super collaborative. I would work with them again in a second, loved working with them. They work with their focus is like nonprofit and mission driven organizations. So it was like incredible, clients to feel good about working with. And um, they made it clear that they were bringing me on as an outside consultant. So they didn't white label me. There was another case where the design agency that I've partnered with, they did white label me. So it really kind of just depends on who's originating the relationship, what they feel works best, or what they want to do. I work either way. There's no ego to me in it. I can do
Yeah.
whatever I need to do.
Okay. Awesome. That's super helpful. I'm looking at your website. It looks amazing. I
Oh,
love how
thank
you designed it.
Yeah, I did that maybe 3 years ago. It was before the pandemic. I want to say maybe it
Okay.
was like spring of 2019. And um, the design agency that I often partner with designed it with me. And I wanted it not to look like an agency site.
Right.
That was one of the big criteria. And I really loved sites just aesthetically that had really big type that
Yeah.
used photography as a visual element. Um, I just, I think that resonated with me because basically what I think and I write. And so to be able to have these kind of big, bold typographic elements was important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the other thing I did when I was designing that I think worked really well is I shared the wireframes with clients
Mm.
to get their feedback. And as a result, I reordered some of the pages or like reordered some of the headlines.
Yeah.
So it was really great to hear from like as someone coming from their perspective what was important to them. So I took all the feedback they gave me and I did everything they said because I wanted it to appeal to other people like them. So I
Totally.
felt like that really was helpful.
Yeah, exactly. You're tailoring it to your potential future customer.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, awesome. I don't have a ton of like brand questions. I don't know if it was, you had large intentions for this meeting, but
Well,
I really just appreciate your time and being able to hop on,
yeah.
and especially because I just found you like a couple hours ago. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
pretty
yeah, yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
No, I appreciate you taking time out. I think, because this was a free event,
Yeah.
I think it's easy not to show up to like you get excited and you sign up and you have the best intentions, but at the end of the day, you have there's no stake in it. So it's easy to be like, I got pulled into this meeting or I've got to
Totally.
do this project, whatever. So yeah, I just wanted to do something that kind of gave back and made, where I could make myself available to people. So it didn't matter to me if like nobody showed up, one person showed up, 50
Yeah.
people showed up, whatever. It's totally fine.
Yeah. Awesome. Um, Cool. Well, I appreciate all of your help and just kind of talking through how you have everything structured. It's super helpful,
Okay.
especially you coming from the agency background and me coming more from the brand side, just to hear a little bit about how you have it all structured and everything. So I really appreciate your time.
Oh, sure. Yeah, happy to help. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. We're connected on LinkedIn, so I'll be following along on your work.
Great, great. Sounds
Yeah.
good. Well,
Awesome.
thanks.
Well, thank you so much. Enjoy your day.
Okay, bye.
Bye.